In this video, I'm going to discuss something that I do not see discussed much on militia loadout videos, what's required for your equipment in your unit, and it's hardly ever mentioned in packing lists on militia websites, and that is your field mess gear. Now, I am aware of the guerrilla rule that you supply yourselves off of what you can get from your enemy, that they are mobile resupply pods. But you need to be aware, especially for here in North America, that you're probably not going to be able to do that. My last rotation at NTC, before I popped smoke, escaped and evade, and went back to Fort Living Room, the observer controllers were telling our troops when they went on missions to bring the bare minimum for food and water, that they were supposed to bring no more than one MRE, and it was preferred that it was a stripped MRE. And they would bring only the water that they would have in their camelbacks. That's not a lot. So if you're expecting to supply yourself off what you get off your enemy after an ambush, you're looking for huge amounts of MREs or LRP MCW rations, canned goods or bottles of water, you're going to be in for a shock. They probably won't have much, because the current doctrine is if you need something, you get on the radio and request it. It'll be brought out to you by helicopter, or you pick it up at your next rest stop on the convoy. So that unit that you ambush probably won't have more than one meal's worth of food, which means you need to have supplies already cached, already stockpiled out in the field for your use. And when those run out or start running low, you're going to have to forage for food. You're going to have to put out snares, fish traps. You're going to have to look for wild edibles. You're going to have to trade with civilians, not steal from them. Which means once you get the food, you're going to have to prepare it. Because more than likely when you get it, it's not going to be pre-made for you. Which means you need mess gear. This first set, for those that do not know, is a U.S. military mess kit. Now, with this set, I have the canteen cup. This is the pan, your plate, your utensil set, and a P38 can opener. Now, the reason they call it a P38 is the story has it that in World War II, when they were testing these, it took 38 punches before it punctured the lid of a C ration can. So, P, punch, 38. With my set that I have here, I also have a canteen cup lid made by Rothko. This is not designed for military canteen cups. They design them for the civilian canteen cups. On the edges of these is a little lip, overhangs. It keeps it from mating well with canteen cup. What I and others have done, take pliers, you bend it out, then take it over to an anvil or the back of your bench vise, use a hammer on it to flatten it out. Then it works just fine on top of your canteen cup, so you have a lid making a pot. I also include a washcloth for washing my mess gear, because you're not always going to have the 3 garbage cans of water and soapy water for rinsing your stuff off. I also include a piece of aluminum foil, because I have come across recipes and videos for baking bread in the mess kit in the field using the coals and ashes from a campfire. I plan on using this over the top of the plate to help seal the edges to keep ash from getting into the bread. Now, one note with the U.S. mess kit. On the utensils, you see this big loop. This is for going over the handle on the pan for when you wash it. Utensils go on here. You have a ring on the plate also. You hook all this onto the pan. When you did the washing in the 3 garbage cans, you had one can that was hot soapy water. The next can was a rough rinse to get the chunks off. The last can was a sanitizing rinse with chlorinated water. Then you just took your stuff, you shook it dry, and then maybe took a towel and dried it off a little more before you packed it away. This next set is a German mess kit. It includes the pot, pan, and that's fry pan. Down here you have the utensil set, which includes a can opener that also doubles as a handle, I have heard, with the fry pan so you don't burn yourself. Now there is a theory on these. The fry pan type mess kits, which were used by the U.S., the British, the French, the Koreans, and others, were used by armies that expected to supply their troops with food in the field, like sea rations or food from mess kitchens. The pot type mess kits, which were used a lot in Eastern Europe and were adopted also by the Russians, were issued to armies that expected to feed their troops through foraging. They'd send out their teams or their squads, and they got what they did. One guy would maybe bring back a rabbit, some potatoes, and some vegetables. You gathered it all up, diced them up, made it into a stew or a soup inside the pot, and then issued it out inside the bowls or the pans. Now, there are also civilian mess kits. These are usually cheaper than the military ones. This first one is a Boy Scouts of America mess kit. It has a pan, plate, drinking cup, which is gradated for use as a measuring cup. You also have a stock pot with lid, and how you can tell that, one of the ways you can tell it's the actual Boy Scout one, it has the wire lift on it and not the plastic knob. The knockoffs seem to have the cheap plastic knobs on them, which can melt off during preparation of food. I do not have the actual Boy Scouts utensils. What I have here is an example. This is a cheap set of camping utensils. These are pretty common, and these I've been able to find them all over the place on Amazon and eBay and in camping stores. This next set here is a two-person cook set. It includes the fry pan, a stock pot, a handle which works on both of them, two pans, two cups, and this cup, just like with the Boy Scout kit, is gradated for use as a measuring cup. Now, you don't have to get a specifically made camping or military made utensil set. You can bring stuff from home. It works also. This strap that's here holds this entire kit together. Now, whatever mess kit you get, you really should get a can opener with it for when you do get canned goods. This particular one was cheap. I bought it at a PX 20 years ago, and it has not failed me, and it's still going strong. Now, there are civilian knockoff versions of this stuff. The ones that I've seen on the military mess kits, the civilian ones are typically made of aluminum. I have come across some made of stainless steel. They are pretty decent. I wouldn't have a problem using them in the field. There are supposed to be civilian versions of this set. I have not seen them yet. I have not got one. I have not tested it out, so I can't say how much it compares, but they're supposed to be pretty close. The difference is they're going to be a lot cheaper than the military surplus ones. There are cheap knockoffs of these two sets that get sold at Walmart. They're made out of aluminum. The aluminum on them, I have heard, is basically just a little bit thicker than a soda can. So the metal flexes a lot. It dents extremely easily. So when you put your kit inside your rucksack, you go out on missions, you're bumping into trees, you drop your ruck because you're assaulting through an objective, that kit's going to get dented up really bad. Sooner or later, one of those dents is going to open up. It's going to rupture. So then that piece of the mess kit is useless. Also, the cups that come with those knockoff kits is made of a very cheap, flimsy plastic and does break easily. So keep that in mind. Now, ideally, each troop in your unit should have a mess kit with them, with utensils and can opener, and some way to clean their gear after they're done eating. Don't leave it dirty. You're going to get sick. Now, if you're a small unit, you operate as two-man teams, two-man scout teams, scout sniper teams, two-man saboteur teams. You might be able to get away with a two-person cook set, but keep in mind, if the person carrying that set gets captured, he loses it, or it gets left behind because of bugging out quickly, well, you've then lost your mess gear for two people. Where if they at least have one set per person, that one person loses their gear, you can loan them your stuff or they can help share from yours. Now, evaluate what you expect to eat in your area. Check, see what's on the market. There are a lot of YouTube videos on all of these sets and others that are available. Watch them. They will teach you the pros and the cons of each set, also modifications people have done. This is not an all-inclusive video here. There are lots of different types out there. But in the military ones, you basically have the two styles, the frying type style and the stew pot type style. Now, hopefully I'm getting you thinking, reevaluating your packing list. If you are not already doing your PCCs, PCIs, you need to start now because it does appear that time is short. So go through, check each piece of equipment, make sure it will fulfill the mission that you expect it to be used for. And for all my engineer brothers that are out there in the Patriot movement and in the militia movement, always remember, essays.